I was imprisoned by Voice of Darkness, a cursed book that required no authors, for it fed on the souls of those who dared to leaf through its pages. This manuscript, more an entity than a collection of pages, had soft, cold covers resembling human skin, and the ink inside seemed to thrive on blood, a living, hungry entity that crafted cruel stories. It self-edited with surgical precision, and in a horrifying manner, knew the thoughts of its readers. Its origin was shrouded in mystery. Rumors suggested it was crafted by an ancient cult designed to capture souls and torment them for eternity. Tales of dark rituals and sacrifices abounded, of moonless nights where the book was nourished by the blood of the innocent. One day, as I browsed the book with a mix of fascination and fear, my eyes landed on a page that chilled my blood. My name was there, written in letters that seemed to drip like fresh blood, throbbing and vivid. But it wasn't just my name. The following sentence struck me like lightning. Now you are here, and here you will remain for eternity. At that moment, the world around me began to crumble as if made of ash. Everything I knew, everything I had ever loved, vanished in a vortex of darkness. My soul was sucked into the pages of the book, as if an invisible, relentless force had dragged me inside. I found myself in dense darkness where the only sound was the rustling of pages turning on their own. The air was heavy, filled with a ferrous odor, like blood mixed with ancient dust. In that darkness, creatures made of black ink and torn pages emerged, their bodies twisted, teeth sharp as shattered glass. Welcome to our realm. Your story has just begun. They hissed like snakes in the shadows. The first reader, a young man with dark hair, flipped through the book in a silent library, unaware of what he was about to unleash. He read a story of a dark forest where the trees seemed alive, animated by an ancient hatred for man. The tale spoke of travelers lost among these trees, their bodies slowly becoming part of the forest itself. As he read, I felt my skin tighten and harden, turning into bark, my limbs stretching into twisted branches, my screams becoming the rustling of leaves in the wind. The pain was unbearable, as if every part of me was being torn and reshaped by nature itself. Then came an elderly woman, her tired eyes falling on the pages in a silent house, surrounded by memories of a life lived. The story she read was of a haunted house where each room was a stage for a tragic past. Every wall a silent witness to death and madness. The victims in that house were haunted by terrifying, violent visions, their spirits trapped forever. With each page the woman turned. My body underwent invisible violence, feeling cold hands grip my throat, invisible blows, leaving bruises and cuts on my flesh. I was trapped in an endless cycle of terror and physical pain, each room in the house becoming a new torture for me. Next was a literature professor. The story he chose was a complex tale of demonic possession, where the malign entity tore at the mind and body of its host. Each passage he read was like a nail driven into my brain, feeling my mind split and twist under the weight of a dark force. The demons' voices echoed in my head, commands and whispers pushing me to the brink of madness. I was a step away from losing myself entirely, my identity smothered by a malign and dominating presence. A curious college student, fascinated by the macabre and occult, began reading a story about an abandoned hospital. This place was once a stage for inhumane experiments and cruel treatments. As she read, I began to feel on my body the same tortures described. Incisions made without anesthesia, bones broken and reassembled in aberrant ways. Every scream of pain described in the book was an echo in my flesh and mind. I was forced to live every horror endured by the patients, my body becoming a surgical battlefield, each new page a new mutilation. Then came a collector of ancient books with a taste for the macabre. He discovered the tale of a cursed carnival where every attraction was a deadly trap, and every street performer a disguised demon. As he read on, I began to feel the same spectacular tortures of the carnival on my body. Ropes lifting me into the air, tearing my skin, blades cutting and mutilating with surgical precision, the audience laughing and applauding at each of my sufferings. My agony was part of the show. Each new description, a new act of cruelty staged for the amusement of an invisible audience. Then, another reader, a diver, lover of legends of sunken cities and hidden treasures, began reading a story about an ancient city swallowed by the sea. As he progressed, I found myself deeper and deeper in the cold, dark waters. I felt the pressure of the water crushing me, my breath growing shorter and more labored. I was trapped in the ruins on the seabed, surrounded by the oppressive silence of the sea. Every attempt to escape was in vain, as if the currents dragged me deeper into an endless abyss. In every story, every horror encountered by the readers in the book, I experienced firsthand. I was the prisoner of each tale, forced to endure every terror, every anguish that voice of darkness generated. My soul was torn and stitched back together. A narrative of pain and terror repeating endlessly, a collection of endless torments, each new reader adding a new, horrible dimension to my eternal imprisonment. But the true torment was knowing that this suffering would never end. Every time someone opened the book, my agony began anew, an endless cycle of pain and despair. I had become the protagonist of a never-ending horror story. And you, listening, I beg you, do not close this video. If you do, you will become the next protagonist of this cursed story. My release would mean your imprisonment. Do you really want to risk it? If the terror you've felt has shaken you to your soul and you're tempted to explore even darker abysses, subscribe to the channel now. But one thing you should know first. Once you enter, you might never find your way out again. Subscribe now, if you dare.